I think what we can really focus today is what we've been we've been spending quite a lot of time and time, money, and energy, and energy on, and that is we basically want to move as much as possible to completely 3D. And
All right.
we started from the building that we have showed you a bit before. That's the engineering. So first you'll see the scene that you used to see before, right? If I'll just make a quick refresher. So you have it is in this building that you will have both what we call engineering and that what we call reverse engineering. And this is the way things are going to look now. So this is very much different from what...
Yeah, that's changed a lot since we looked before, because before it was just sort of like a menu screen. Now you're actually able to see what you're building while you're doing it.
Exactly. And you have so much, what we say, air around. So you really like feel, I mean, for us, it's like a really big change. I mean, you really have a feeling that you do engineer components.
Yeah, I definitely think for me especially, that's a very very nice change, because it's kind of hard to build something when you're just kind of making almost just a blueprint, but when you actually physically see what you're building as you're doing it, it kind of helps you design it better, in my opinion.
Great. Then we did the right stuff. Then we did the right thing. And yeah, I can walk a bit also. So what has changed here, and what is actually the player is going to do? So here you can see you have a selector on top. This is where you play with your different tank components. You have the turrets, you have the different guns that you want to play around.
Oh yeah, I like how you have them all like separately displayed. It doesn't just kind of add on to the main hull that you're building.
Now
Definitely adds to that like assembly line feel.
oh yeah, that's a nice analogy actually. But that's exactly what we want to have. That you have a feeling that you really focus on this particular component. Then depending where the need is, so you play with different things. So, and then what do you do for each of the components separately? Well, you have, as we say, you want to engineer it. That means that you have an opportunity to tune it to what the customer wants or to the vision that you have for this particular component. And the way it's going to work is that you're going to do it in two ways. The first is that this little, well, not little, but this selector at the bottom. You can see that it has a number of slots. I believe it's 10 at the moment. And they mimic these slots. So this is the slots for what we call modifications. And modifications, if you maybe remember from the previous time we discussed, these are like smaller tank components that you gain while sort of following the research tree. You have many of those just for Britain. I think for the first era we counted 140, 150. And they come in different fashion. So they come in different flavors. And each hull or each component actually will have different number of available slots. And each slot will be potential place for specific type of modification. So in this case, for example, let's see, we have only one to choose. So that's this. We go to the sides. Well, again, this guy. Let's pick, I don't know, let's pick, well, sorry for the white stuff. It's a still placeholder. It's a winter camouflage for the Russian campaign. Yeah, but I think you can get the feeling how things are going to work. So you have a list of things, you choose which, depending on the resources it takes and depending what kind of attributes it adds to the attribute of this component. And you play around, you choose the combination that you believe works best. And yeah, when you like it, then it's this phase at least is finished. Let's say like this. This is like I would say almost a classical whippet hull, if I remember that correctly. And so that's the first thing you do. And of course, as I said, for different components, you'll have for different hulls in this case, you'll have their own position. It's like almost unique position actually, and own things that go in. I mean, you can see some change there and here. Yeah, like this. Let's say go for the camouflage net again. This nice looking white pillow. Chewing gum.
For the crew to sleep on, right?
Yeah, well, you know, war takes a lot of energy, so you have to be ready for the long engagement. So this is the first layer of doing engineering of the component, and also it's I can point out that you can, for example, you can have one configuration, let's say for the whippet, right? Then you can take off some of these components, plug something else, and then make another configuration. Then these different configurations, they'll be like your two different building blocks when you design and make the complete tank.
Okay.
So that's this way you can have really, you know, from one hull, for example, you can create multiple different alternatives for different needs. So that means that one component have really, potentially have a long life in the game. And another thing also you can see directly from here that we want to give more longevity for the early components. So let's say the Mark I hull, you see it has a full of 10 slots, while the hull for the Mark 8 has only 5 of those. So this is like a compromise, right? The attributes for the Mark 8, they will be somewhat higher than for the Mark 1, but Mark 1 is more upgradable, so you can play more with this. So that's one layer for a modification. The second layer for modification, that is technologies. Again, I make a reference to the tech tree. Remember, we had like 2 different type of technologies. Yes. The first one, we're giving you the tank components and modifications, but the second one, we're giving you engineering technologies, and this is actually these one that you can now play. Plug in here. So you see we have, let's say for this hull, we have one single slot. And what happens is that I can choose from the range of these technologies. What they do is that they will unlock given attributes for me to modify and spend so-called engineering points. So let's say we take this one, for example. When I go, I see a crew awareness, so I go to crew, and I see that from the crew attributes now I can add this engineering points to the crew awareness attribute. So, you know, this is the way for us to emulate that when you were building the tanks, so it was not always really the components from the metal that people were assembling together, smaller or bigger components, but it was always also like the technological solutions. And this is the way we want to represent that in the game.
All right.
So there, for example, we have also repairability, so we can add this one, and then we have for transportability. So we go to mobility there, and there we go. So now we have spent all of them, right? But we if we want to take another technology and let's say maybe focus more on the protection than on the other attributes. And the same thing will apply for also for the other components. So when you speak about the turrets, right? So you can, yeah, well, there are some white spots. They're not still filled in, but again, it's the same. It's the same. It's the same principle that you have the sockets. You plug things in the sockets, and yeah, you modify the way you want your component to look like. So let's go to, let's say, the gun and play a bit with the gun. Yeah, another thing important that we are sort of playing around this decision, trying to see which one will be the best, is that, and actually here you'll see it, like when you plug in the modifications for the guns, let's say, you see that not so much things are changing actually. So what we are most likely will do is that, the modifications that are relatively big, or they can be sort of seen from the outside, they will be represented in with the 3D models, like we do for the hulls or for the turrets. But the things that are more, like internally based, or a smaller thing that will require really a lot of work from us to really, make it suitable, because this is like 3 different 3D models, right? And that has to be really compatible with each other.
Yeah.
So whenever that becomes really a problem, then we revert to a simpler way. That is, you have this 2D representation, and of course the attributes and the cost. You don't see directly visually. I mean, if you take, for example, this, the machine gun. I mean, yeah, to put some sort of different barrels, and show how they will look like. That will be, yeah, you can imagine that will be really difficult to make it compatible for different models, of course, for different machine gun models. So it's a compromise. Will be interesting to see what your subscribers, what they think about, what the community think about. When this interview will be done, we can put it on the Discord channel and see what they think.
Yeah, and I think for the next one after this, we could probably maybe do another Q&A if you guys are up for that, and have people ask, and because it has been a while since we did the first one, so it'd give people a chance to ask you any questions they might have about the game, or people who are just seeing this for the first time, since it's the subscriber count that I have has changed a lot since the last time we made a video, so there could be a lot of new people to this game who might have questions about it that no one else has asked.
Absolutely. I mean, we like questions, and I mean, some of them actually give us some really interesting ideas. So because different people look at the same thing from different perspectives. So it's please, if you have any, or if your subscribers do have any of them, just let us know. But right, so this is the way the engineering is going to work. So you choose one of the primal component, you have a much better look of that than before. And you modify that. Either with this modification mechanism, or you modify that with the help of the technologies. That's the way we want that to work. And then the reverse engineering. Well, reverse engineering is also going to be done in 3D. And as I said, I mean, we will gradually want to move most of the building to the 3D. I think there's only one building that most likely will be still 2D based. So here, when you start reverse engineering, you'll have a list of the tanks that you managed to get from your opponents. So in this case, that's the A7E. You have some statistics on that. And there you go. So you can see the tank, you can see some of the component. And it's, well, to be honest, the reverse engineering works a bit more actually as the technology tree, because now you see you have the same selector on the top. So you have the same 6 major components: the hull, turret, primary, secondary weapon, power unit, and running gear. And each of that represents a technology. that you are free to reverse engineer. And as a technology, it gives you, both the big component and these modifications that you can later on use in your own projects.
So is it like if you select one, there's a time period that it takes to like kind of research that, or is it you just instantly have access to it?
No, it's a time. It's a time, depending on how complex it is and how far in the game you are, and also how many, let's say, engineers you have and how advanced your building is. Depending on all of that, you'll have different lead time on how long it takes to actually research it. So it's really like running an engineering project, but in reverse.
Uh-huh.
And you will have different tanks, of course. You'll get them either from your clients as a reward for different tasks, or from the government, or you will purchase them from the clients if the reputation is good enough. And you will be able to extract things that you need. Let's say that you're really lacking in terms of the engine technology, so you go directly for the power unit, right? You get these juicy parts, but the rest maybe you're not that interested in right now, so you just leave them aside. So that's the reverse technology in a nutshell. And I can also show you just the way some other things are shaping up. The production hall. I don't know if I have showed that before or not.
I think we might have looked at it briefly, but I don't think we went into any depth on it.
Okay, but to be honest, I don't think we want to show any depth of this right now, because this one, what I want really to say here is that we're going to redo this in a 3D fashion as well.
Okay.
And there's quite a few benefits with this, but one of the coolest features will be that, when you really have a 3D, when the scene is based on the 3D models, then when you choose that specific tank, it will be that specific tank that you will see being developed.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it will be
because I remember before I had asked about that, and you said that they were just going to be like placeholder models as you were building them. But with the 3D, you'll have the you'll see your own tanks being produced in.
Exactly, and then depending on how far you are in the production, they will be standing in different level of readiness. Some will be completely assembled, some will be less assembled this way. Maybe it will be even representing the way that let's say you order the production of 100 units. So the closer you are to the making all 100, the more assembled they will look. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to play around, but it gives us really a cool flexibility to show the player his or hers models, along the assembly lines. I think that's really nice. It's really neat. And then we were also discussing to put this scene as well on 3D.
So you can like click on different components and stuff.
Yes, and you'll have the camera for the rotation. So this, of course, will be the same. Actually the way you go through your research tree and you choose what you want. This we don't change. We're happy with this. Then, I think this is also something new. We haven't shown this one, right?
No, I think we saw the world map at one point, but it definitely has been updated since then.
Yeah. Well, one thing that is not updated, and I think it was actually one of your subscribers that noticed that, is this. Well, you see, Britain is still a bit undersized for the current date, but that's just a temporary solution. So I hope no hard feelings from the British subscribers about this. But yeah, we updated the map. We felt like it's the old style didn't really fit in the theme, and this is more like metal and armor theme, which is much more consistent with what we want to, the overall feeling we want to give to the game. And I can briefly also show that the diplomacy window has been also updated quite a lot. So you have quite a few options that you can engage in the negotiations. You have the well, I start from the backwards, but it doesn't really matter. So you have something called holdings. This is what you can build on this particular country, and they will give you different bonuses and different benefits. Tank trophies. This is the way, one way for you actually to inquire the opponents from the tanks from your opponents. You have different tasks that you can decide to engage, and they will give you the bonuses and again the different rewards and so on. But of course the contracts, reputation. Reputation is actually one of the most important feature, because this is the reputation, this is the one that decides how far you're allowed to engage in the contracts, the tasks, and so on. Was there anything else, Lars, that we wanted to show for today? Or
no, perhaps we wanted to mention briefly about our plan for the Kickstarter. The time frame.
Yeah. Well, as you noticed, we didn't launch in March, as we were previously saying. There's quite a few reasons for that. But we still go for Kickstarter, and our current deadline is end of September. So September, October, that's where we want to show up. But the major milestone there will be that we want to have a playable demo. So all that you see now, this is like a different parts, right, of the game that is starting to look like one system. But we want to have a playable demo available for the potential bakers, so that they can make their own decision if this is something they believe and this is something they do like, and they want to see that to evolve and develop or not.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing to have when you go to Kickstarter, because the worst thing is when there's an amazing pitch, but they don't have any sort of playable demo or even like footage of the game, and it's like, do you really want to invest your money in something that you can't even see?
Yeah. I mean, I think we have quite a lot of screenshots, and we can generate quite a few gameplays from different parts. Definitely, the demo is the one that is the breaking point for the decision.
Yeah, just the overall quality and look of the game so far is very much not something you will find on Kickstarter very often. So you guys definitely are doing the right thing in terms of going to be successful with that, I think.
Thank you. It's really good to hear, and I definitely hope that that's the way it's going to be. Another thing is that if there is, of course, an interest, we can make another call, something like 2 or 3 weeks from now, and then our aim then is actually to show how you make the tank, how you design the tank, not the components that we've been talking right now, but how you actually assemble all these different components and get the tank that you want later on to sell.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the part that people are really kind of waiting for, because the design aspect and everything is very, very interesting, and obviously it's the main portion of this game, but people definitely want to see how their finished product is going to look and perform once you get those.
Yeah. So that's we hope 3 weeks will be sufficient. We're actually working hard on this. Not so much there to do, but things have to be there at the right place, do the right stuff.
I think people can tell that you guys have been working very hard, because you've come very far in just, how long has it been? Just about a year now since we did the first video, maybe roughly around there.
Yeah, I think we started in like September, October last year.
Yeah, so pretty close to a year, and you guys have really made significant progress in this, especially considering you haven't even gone to the Kickstarter yet. So I think you do have that. People are going to believe in this project.
Thank you. It's
thanks. That's really encouraging for us. Really, that's appreciated.
Absolutely. So, as I said, I mean, if there's any questions, either directly, please just drop them in the Discord, or we can make a Q&A session during the next interview and show the way the design works and also answer those questions.
Yep,
Absolutely.
and as always, I'll leave links to your guys' Discord, your YouTube, and potentially, you guys still have your website set up and everything, right?
Yeah, it's
I'll
still
try to-
working. It's still working.
I'll try to link all that stuff down below, and then anybody who's watching can leave comments down below for questions, and we'll try to maybe do a Q&A section in the next interview.
Perfect. And also
Great.
we kind of restarted, I think the past 1.5 to 2 months, we actually restarted, as you noticed yourself, our Instagram channel.
Mm-hmm.
So that one is pretty much alive, and we are trying to post updates there also daily. They kind of cross, of course, each other. You know, what we show on the Discord, what we show on the homepage and on the Instagram, but they don't go, same date. So yeah, if you want to be really
Yeah.
updated, please follow us on the Instagram as well.
Yeah, Instagram is a really good way for you to post stuff because it's just like a nice picture, and then you don't end up burying it in people talking on Discord and stuff. It's a very nice place to keep up to date.
Absolutely. I think we have also Twitter that will hopefully soon also start to be more active.
Yeah.
we'll have already Twitter, right?
Yeah, we've been wrapping up the activities the past few weeks there as well. Yeah, it's definitely growing as well, and people are more than welcome to come and enjoy the material there as well.
Yeah. So please choose the one that fits you best.
Yep.
All of them. We're
Yeah,
really happy
exactly.
to see you everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for this time, and yeah, talk to you in 2 or 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, of course.